Nestled in a stunning bush setting on an authentic gold mining and logging site just south of Greymouth, Shantytown is one of the West Coast's most visited man-made tourist attractions. In recent years, a redevelopment project has been underway. I'm Jackie Gurden, the project manager, and I'd like to take you through what's been achieved, particularly in the last 18 months. The project incorporates 5 experiences. Looking at the diagram, you'll see the sawmill in the top left and the southern end of Shantytown in green, the gold experience adjacent in yellow, the village in the centre in pink, the steam experience in red, and then down at the bottom the entry experience in blue. Looking firstly at the sawmill project, completed and opened in 2008, this saw the original mill at Shantytown that had become uneconomic to operate converted into an interactive attraction. Features include the display of an operating bench complete with spinning blades, sounds, and a production showing the milling process on a 7-metre screen. An interpretive area telling the human stories of life in the early milling era. And the smoko room where visitors can hear mill workers chatting. Moving now to the development work over the last year to 18 months, the arrival is to be set in the 1860s at the height of the gold rush. To date, the retail store has been relocated to the entry and become Reuben Waite's store. Waite was an early West Coast storekeeper and a very colourful character instrumental on the goldfields. Looking now at the gold experience, this incorporates 3 attractions: the timeline, the gold claim or panning area, and the sluice area. The timeline has 21 panels and features presenting an unofficial history of the West Coast. Visitors can learn about some of the colourful West Coast characters like Seddon and Biddy of the Buller, plus many of the significant happenings in the region between 1860 and 1900. Here's another feature, a replica of the original light that brought the first public electricity in the Southern Hemisphere to Reefton by Walter Prince in 1888. And this one, a quartz boulder from Oceania Gold's Globe Hill mine in Reefton, on display from the company. Up at the claim or panning area, extensive interpretation has been added, including a 13-metre mural depicting historic images of the types of early gold mining techniques that were used on the West Coast. The sluice area now has an operational display of the sluice gun 4 times a day, but much more is about to happen to this site. 7 characters based on individuals authentically on the goldfields in the 1860s will shortly populate this area, entertaining visitors with their stories of the challenging life in the West Coast environment during this era. The audio units attached to the characters have motion-activated sensors, triggering the recordings as visitors approach. Moving to the village, set in 1900, visitors can now enjoy a stunning new hologram experience that's one of only 4 in the world that uses the latest hologram and Musion foil technology. To be named the Princess Theatre, the interior has been impressively designed, complete with restored seats from the Criterion Theatre in Reefton. The first production, Dead Men Tell No Tales, tells the tragic story of the murder of surveyor George Dobson by the notorious Burgess and Kelly gang in the mid-1860s. It cleverly presents to visitors life on the goldfields and the challenges facing the region's first police inspector, Thomas Brougham. The production uses some outstanding visual effects, and there are a few surprises for the audience, particularly the moving floor. The techniques have seen the merging of 2D and 3D, seen here in this screen capture. And some other interesting effects, like this one here with the Burgess and Kelly gang, as they tell how Dobson was murdered. The lively character of New Zealand Premier Richard Seddon, and one of the coast's most accomplished leaders, is being incorporated throughout the attraction, the tea room's now named King Dick's Cafe. Decorated in the 1900s era, images and quotes around the walls tell his life story. Having completed this, the next stage is a new servery and the introduction of some themed products on the menu. Moving now to the final attraction, the STEAM experience. A very successful STEAM school has been established and is operated by Taipatini Polytechnic from Shantytown. With funding from Pub Charity, a replica of one of the early foundries in the region has been built. It comes complete with its workforce. An interpretive plan presenting the industrial age of steam and the crafts of riveting, moulding, pattern making and much more has been prepared. Already an 1899 authentic steam log winch made from the original dispatch foundry has been restored, and this has now been installed in the foundry, as have an original generator and boiler. Funding applications have now been prepared and lodged in a bid to complete the project. Shantytown has long been very well known for its popular steam train rides up the Infants Creek tram line on one of its 3 operating trains, but Shantytown has also had tucked away 3 further very significant historic steam locos. These include the Possum, built in 1875 and amongst the earliest locos built in New Zealand. This train worked on the west coast on the original Brunner Bridge site and also the Greymouth Harbour and in the construction of the Reefton and Angahua Junction line and here at the original Ogilvy's Mill on the site that Shantytown is built on today. And second is a very rare Climax, built in 1912 in Pennsylvania. This loco is one of the best preserved examples of a Climax in the world. And finally the Heisler, built in the US in 1924, again a unique and rare example of this early bush workhorse. A lottery environment and heritage grant was obtained and the Climax has now been painted. The Possum has now been removed from Shantytown to the dispatch foundry, where it's in many pieces while the preservation work's undertaken. The Heisler will follow and then all trains will go on display in Shantytown in the near future. Together, both mechanically and operationally, these bush trams have the potential to tell an outstanding story of the evolution of West Coast industries, particularly logging. Again, through the pub charity grant received by Shantytown, what is known as the dark shed or the engineer's workshop has been upgraded, and this is where the trains are stored and will be displayed with an interpretation plan commissioned. Finally, within the steam experience, funds have been raised and the railway station has been completely restored and an interpretation plan been prepared with the display underway. Our young visitors haven't been forgotten either. Adding to the existing fund for children and funded through a Mainland Foundation grant, the playground has been redeveloped, introducing the old-style merry-go-round and a very popular flying fox. As you can see, a tremendous amount of work has been undertaken at Shantytown, and this wouldn't have been possible without the generous support of a large number of funders, including Development West Coast, Pub Charity, the Grey District Council, Lottery Environment and Heritage, Kiwi Rail, the New Zealand Community Trust, the Lion and Mainland Foundations, Oceania Gold, and many more organisations, businesses and individuals. When you're on the West Coast next, please dedicate some time, call in and view both the existing and new attractions here at Shantytown.